On September 11, 2001, coordinated terrorist attacks occurred between 8:46 a.m. and 10:28 a.m. A total of 3 attacks were made, one on the World Trade Center, another on the Pentagon, and a failed attempt on the Capitol or White House. That Tuesday morning, 2 planes flew into the Twin Towers after 19 hijackers took over the commercial flights. The first plane intentionally collided with the first tower, and the second plane followed quickly after. The attacks, led by al-Qaeda extremist Osama bin Laden, had quickly changed the whole country's mood.
Al-Qaeda. Osama bin Laden orchestrated the attacks as early as 1997. He had stated that it was to equally undermine America's security as America does to Islamic countries. For months following the attacks, bin Laden taped himself acknowledging involvement and the justice taken for Muslims. In 2004, bin Laden finally confessed to planning and personally directing the attacks. For 7 years, he remained on the most wanted list until he was gunned down by special forces in 2011.
We didn't know what to think. I mean, it was the craziest, most awful thing that had ever happened. So it was like the new normal. Nobody knew what to make of it at all, and then nobody knew, like, if you were safe.
Right.
The big cities, especially. I remember thinking, I know people who live in the Middle East, they could be riding a bus and their bus would blow up, or they could be in a store and the store would blow up, or in a restaurant. And I thought, that's what it's like now to live in New York City. You don't know if you're going to live.
Right.
And that, I can't imagine living like that.
9/11 has been considered the greatest terrorist attack on America since Pearl Harbor 60 years prior. Nearly 3,000 casualties occurred and more than 6,000 were injured. Alongside the 2,977 victims, the 19 suicide pilots died, and in years following, death resulted from the disease and cancers related to the attacks. Following the attacks, instant action was taken. Relief funds were created and aid was given to the New York City area. The Department of Homeland Security was created in 2002 following the attacks. The Patriot Act was pushed into action to help prevent attacks. Also, the National Security Association powers was heightened. More airport inspection was instituted to prevent hijacking and terrorist activity. Perhaps the largest reaction was the Campaign for the War on Terror following these attacks. The counterterrorism campaign was pushed to define the Bush administration and to end the threat of attacks on suffering countries. While the combat role of the United States lasted just about 13 years, the repercussions are still felt. Rise of terrorist groups still occur, threats ensue daily, hate crimes on Muslims never end, and the security and regulations are up for debate all the time. While the attacks lasted less than 2 hours, its effect will remain in America for future generations to come.